Good evening, Sister Kemet and Jasmine. How are you guys? You well?
Good evening to you. I am well, thank you.
Good,
I'm
good,
blessed
good.
and highly favoured, my brother. Give
Thank
thanks
you.
Yes.
to the ancestors and the Most High for us being able to be on this forum and for you to be touching base to hear what we've been doing. Give thanks for that.
No, no problem, man. You guys deserve the light. It's your time. I've been watching your progress on all your platforms, and we'll get into those in a second. But I've seen the growth. I've seen how staunchly black you are, and how you wanna shed light on some of the issues you don't feel are making it into the mainstream, and also some of the wider issues that pertain to black people, black women. Um, that don't really get covered too often, and even I
Yeah.
say that even as someone working for the Voice newspaper. So, Too Real is the platform. Stop the Silence is the campaign. Let's start with the platform. Sister Kemet, Wax Lyrical. What's it all about?
I can tell you how it first came about. We many years ago we had an organisation called PowerSys, and out of PowerSys we used to have a talk show called Everyday People, with different generations speaking on issues and so forth. And then we went to having the breakfast bar, and which fell into me having a vision like, you know what, I need to just get harder on some of the issues that's really happening to our people and be consistent with it. This is last year, I think July or August would make it a year. And myself and another sister, I said to her, look, I've had this vision, and I think we need to just go with it. I don't know why the ancestors is telling me to do it, because I'm not a person that likes a camera. You just about can get me to take a picture. I'm just not that person. I don't know nothing about Insta Live, filming or doing anything like that. It's so not me. So that was Sister Shanette. So she said, yeah, I'm down for it. Let's just get out what you have to get out. So we started up 2 Row from that. And out of that, out of 2 Row, yes, doing 2 Row, we ended up seeing more and more atrocities that was happening to our people globally. Now, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so I'm always up on those things anyway. But because we were going live twice a week, so I know at first once a week, people was just shooting us stuff and say, talk about this, talk about that. And we was like, hey. And then things were coming more passionately to us, and there was a conviction that people wanted us to speak about it. So out of that, we started to do videos as well, in terms of the first one was how our people was being treated in China by the Chinese, and that went in, I think in 2 days it got like 75k views or something like that. It just like that overnight, and people was putting it on their forums all over the world.
Yeah.
And which we didn't expect at all. And then out of that, more and more people just wanted us to talk more about different issues, anything. We did things on narcissism, polygamy. We sent letters, like vocal letters on video to Bill Gates, and we talked about the whole scandemic, and how it would affect our communities the hardest before anyone was even speaking about it. And then out of that, people wanted to come on our forums and be interviewed on the platform. So we thought, that's a voice, your voice, like The Voice, like you're giving us a platform now. So we wanted our people to also have a voice to air how they feel, So from out of that, we gave them the platform, and Black History Month came up in October, as you know, and we used that as a launch pad to go harder, to showcase more stuff what we're doing. The first week we did everything Black History, and Umar Johnson kicked it off for us. The second week we did holistic health and well-being, so we had different speakers on, like Andrew Muhammad, we had Galactic Clyde, some powerful people on. Then the second week we focused on performing arts and creative arts, and we had artists on. And the last week we focused on Black businesses, and we ended with the Kings and Queens of Lovers Rock on a finale. So it's kind of like showcasing what our people are doing, and also Black businesses, entrepreneurs, what people haven't heard about, and all the whole spirituality and holistic health, what we need to really get back to grips with, because that's what we're from. We need to get back to that, the whole spiritual aspect of us, and we've gone harder for that because we've been asked to work alongside a group for the launch of International Black Mystery Month, which is launched this November.
Before we get into that, Jasmine, what drew you to the whole need for Too Real? What was it about, you know, some of the people that Sister Kemet's mentioned that you felt was you know, important to cover and get out there?
Well, for instance, I've lived on this planet for half a century, so I've kind of like gone through different eras and I was born here, so I've seen with my own eyes the need for our people, and I also know Kemet for a very, very long time, since I was in my teens, so I know what sort of person that she is. And I felt conviction never before have I felt convicted to want to speak up on behalf of our people. When Kemet came out with Stop the Silence, I thought, you know something, now's my time. And fear and lack of confidence has always held me back in my life. So I found that being the ideal platform for me to, when they invited me to co-host with them, for me to jump on that platform and become vocal myself, and to obviously exercise the plight and the need for our people in society. So hence the reason why I'm here.
2020's provided more topics for discussion centering around Black people and the treatment of Black people than many a year gone past.
Yeah.
I guess the only difference this year is there is a wider audience listening. Sister Kemet, talk about some of the things that you've discussed on Too Real, and let's kind of bring the audience, the viewers, the listeners up to speed with Stop the Silence as a campaign, which Jasmine just touched on.
Wow, well, I would honestly say we've left no stone unturned in terms of areas and topics that affect our people, from homeschooling, the reason and importance behind homeschooling our children. And if we're not homeschooling, the reasons behind we need to implement African history within our curriculum, what we may send our children to supplementary schools or whatever. And if we don't, and it's not implemented in the national curriculum, then the reason why we should be doing it at least in the home. We focused on that. So it's education. We focused on the whole social aspects of our community in terms of, you know, the Black male-female relationships, the single parentness, by default, the independent woman being by default. We focus on the whole economic aspects, why we need to create not only just fundraising campaigns, but how we need to put our resources together and share and go back to that which we spoke about how there's this saying that we don't trust each other, and I said it's a myth, because we didn't sign no contracts when we signed up for the partner or taking part in Susu, you understand, to buy our first houses or get our mortgages, really buying our houses outright, because the banks wouldn't even give us a mortgage. So there was a trust aspect there, because we didn't sign no contract. So we covered everything. Then we got on to the whole health aspect and how this whole COVID thing, plandemic, scamdemic, whatever anyone wants to call it, even pandemic, and how it has affected our community the worst. And we knew that it would. It being, as they say, us being the most vulnerable, us having extended families and not allowed to visit them, us having 9 nights and can't go to 9 nights when a loved one's passed, funerals, you know how we do, and even our sickle cell community, how it's affected them in a significant way. You know, them not getting the support and the help what they need, but they want them to be the first for the COVID trials and tests, you know?
Yeah.
So, which we spoke about this before any form of lockdown. We knew it's going to affect our communities the worst.
Jasmine, mainstream consistently fails to inform us, and I don't think it's their responsibility anyway. So how do you go about collating the information that you're going to then feed to the audience, your viewers, your listeners?
Well, put it this way, I currently work with young children in the care field, children in residential care. And I also currently work with deprived communities in my day job. So I see firsthand what our people are lacking, or people in general, as well as our people are lacking. So it's easy for me to gather the evidence because it's right before me. You know, when I work work with them in workshops and engage in conversation with them. So that provides me with the information and the resources that I need when I work in partnerships with other organizations. So I'm quite aware of what our people need. And so, considering that we're only 3% out of the 67.8 million, it's a very small percent. And I don't see why we are constantly overlooked, abused and ill-treated. But some of the things that the people that I work with say is that they want things like youth centres, health centres, mentoring, our own schools, money, education, our own banks, our own community centres. We haven't got none of those. The children want youth centres. They want banqueting suites because we don't even own a banqueting suite or our own hotels. And they want equality, and they want Black people to go into law more. They want to feel represented more in the community. And that's what we're actually fighting for. And that's what the Two Real platform provides, a voice for these people, these minorities, to go ahead and voice their opinions and their needs.
What's been the most disconcerting element of this year for both of you? And Sister Kemi, I guess you can go first. What's been the most, what's made you sit back and go, Lord God, 2020 is just don't stop?
What normally does, and how many of our people are so naive in terms of the real issues that affect our people. And it's always going to be that until we kind of wisen up and waken up. Do you know what I mean? So it's always going to be that for me. That hasn't changed. It's just even when you speak about us as a going back to that African spirituality, and people thinking it's some kind of crazy, what do you call it, hobo, mobo, I don't know what they call it, craziness that's going on. It's like in this day and age, how we can still be so ignorant and naive, So that's one of the main things. And even when Jasmine was saying we're only 3%, I juggle with that as well. I don't believe we're only 3%. I don't believe it. I don't believe their statistics. Never have done, never will do. Because most of their people are, if you look just out of common sense, are war veterans, okay, at this present time. World War II, 1930s, all that kind of thing. Weren't nobody left. Men died in the war. A few women on their own. They died out, or even now, their main population is the elderly, and there's not very many of them. They classify us as the breeders, and when we came over, all we do is breed and have loads of children. They didn't. So how are we still only the minority? But they use these kind of words and this cycle, because for me, one of the main things is people say it's not just an economic warfare, or it's, for me, it's a psychological warfare. That's what the whole pandemic is for me, because, and especially amongst our people, because we fall into these traps of believing things what doesn't even make sense and can never be if we really look at how things, well, let's put this together. Hold on a minute, this couldn't work that way because of that. Do you know what I mean? It just wouldn't make sense. And we fail to do that. We go with the status quo, we go with the statistics, even though that would never make sense. Never ever makes sense. But who's putting out the statistics? Who's putting out the data?
Regardless of whether we're the minority or not, that it's just a word, isn't it? We still have so much power because we have so much talent, and the minority part really doesn't bother me, because everybody has a choice, everybody has opportunity, and everybody's individuals. And one man let's talk about Marcus Rashford. One man, for instance, look what he's done. He's just one person.
But everyone
So,
doesn't have a choice, because we definitely do not have a choice. We definitely don't have opportunities. We definitely don't. Not when you're living in a society that thrives itself on systemic racism and institutional racism and every other form of racism that goes with it. So
I agree with you. We could have more.
Yeah.
We could have more opportunity, but we can work with what we have.
Well,
I believe that we can.
I think that's what we're doing. But for me, work with what we have and what
we've been doing it for centuries. We've been doing it for centuries, and we've been getting by. It's taken us a long time.
And that's the point. We've been getting by. We don't want to get by.
No, we don't. Absolutely.
I hear you. We want to do. We want to achieve. We want to progress. We want to accelerate. We just don't want to get by, because nobody else is getting by. While we're just getting by, everyone's flying by. So we need to get off of that wagon, and what we really need is for them to leave us alone and let us get on with it, because we know when we do try, we get blocks in every single way.
Jasmine, you did not. No. You speak your truth, Jasmine. You didn't talk about your worst element of 2020 thus far. It not done yet.
Yeah, of course. My worst element of 2020, I think, was seeing George Floyd murdered in front of my very eyes. You know, I still have no explanation for the thousands and thousands and thousands of children that can't comprehend it. My own children can't comprehend it. And the police officers getting away with murder. That was murder. And it's troubling to this day that this has been going on for centuries and nothing's been done about it.
Yeah, definitely was one of the lowest parts of the year. Sister Kemet, you touched on something which is, I think people are becoming more and more vocal about. Plandemic, scandemic, you know, however you see it. But how do you see it? Is this thing real in your mind's eye every day? And hold on, just before I finish, because I'm gonna end with the punch now. Are you taking the vaccine?
I wouldn't even answer that question. They'd have to hold me down, strap me up, and knock me out.
It's a serious. I have to ask it because in the just to have a discussion amongst ourselves means we have to divulge how we feel on these subjects.
You're good.
You know, so for me, it's, you know, important for people like yourself who I think reflect an opinion that isn't really being reported on. We asked the question on Instagram this week, so don't feel like I'm just targeting you. And
no,
you know,
I would never.
We put the question out, and we've had some great responses, some fantastic responses. But the general consensus is no one ain't really feeling that. So talk about it.
I wouldn't even take the flu vaccines. I don't take any form of vaccines. And I definitely won't be taking that one, because look, their vaccines, their medications, or anything else that goes with it, we know how the effects they have on people in the long run. We also know that they're not made for us. It's not us creating the vaccines. And moreover, there's natural remedies, what we're used to, that protects us. And that's what we need to go back to. And that's, all right, if we're going to die of the flu, like how many people die of the flu, so be it. Do you understand me? But we're still going to boil up to bush tea, to lemon, ginger, and whatever. This is the way we know. Do you understand? Yeah. So, you know, we didn't run to no clinic in Africa or the Caribbean to get vaccines and all that growing up. Our parents never give us a vaccine washout when they wanted to detox our system. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, in that respect, just from that ideology, that's why I said, my brother, you probably would, it would definitely be a no for me. But I do think that as much as I say no, and many Pan-Africanist people, I think, would say no, there's many people that will say yes. Because it goes back to what Sister Jasmine was saying with the George Floyd thing. It's that psychological fear.
Correct. It's all over the media.
It's a psychological warfare. That's what they're putting in this, and as in war, FEAR, than opposed to FARE. That's what they're on now.
Jasmine, you taking the vaccine?
My sentiments echo what Kemet just said. The vaccine is not necessary. An hour before I came on, I spoke to my mother, and my mother reminded me of all of the diseases that used to be in the world when she was alive. And she reminded me they did not have to have no vaccine. Again, we come from the Caribbean, so we use whatever the Caribbean offers us, the nature provides us, and we do all need to go back to that. As we know, we cannot trust the government's, medical whatever for us. We already know that there's a plan to eradicate Black people. It's currently being carried out. Lots of Black people are lacking in knowledge, hence the reason why they will just give themselves up to be a guinea pig. Why on earth would you sacrifice yourself and take their vaccine? When Africa had the Ebola crisis going on, were they in a hurry to provide a vaccine? Never. They were never in a hurry. You never even heard the name vaccine when our people were dying from Ebola. Where was the vaccine? And that was one of the most deadliest diseases going in Africa. So why is the common cold this really bad strain of the flu? Why are we being forced to take a vaccine for a really bad strain of the flu? I mean, people die from things every day, and we're not sure about the statistics because we can't trust what the government says. So I'll leave it at that.
Jasmine and Sister Kemet, from two real viewers and listeners who are watching this, I think you're getting a taste of the type of content that these two queens serve up. They don't hold back. They keep it 100. Too real sometimes. Sister Kemet, are you familiar with the bars? Skepta's bars? Too real. Nobody realer. Too deep. Nobody deeper.
No. I'll tell you what. Ask me how we got this name.
Go on, how'd you get it?
One of our devout followers, when we had the breakfast bar, when we had everyday people, everything else, when we said it's just going to be the two, when I had the vision it should be two, and we was like, oh, what name now? What are we going to come out with? And he said, Too Real. So I said, why? And he was like, well, because for one, you are definitely too real. So even if you're doing the platform on your own, it could be perceived as TOO real. And if it's two of you, it can be perceived as too real as well.
Or TW.
I wouldn't bring anyone on a platform with me who's not going to be too real.
Too real.
Well, they'd probably, I mean, sink or swim, they'd probably sink, wouldn't they? Sitting next to you, Sister Kemet. It's strong views personified.
We do have different. We do have different views.
No, but I think it's good. There's nothing wrong with that, because
we do have conflict between us, but it's managed in a healthy way, and we learn from each other. That's what we do. We learn from each other.
Talk about, and I think each one teach one, right? So talk about the layers and indifference that your topics, because some of the topics I see you guys touch on, and some of the ways that you go in on them, like I said, that type of discourse I don't really see too often, and the language you use, and maybe it's because I tune into a lot of trained journalists who sit on the fence and know how to navigate these waters without, dipping their toe in. But you guys don't do that. You don't hold back, and I like that. And I think it's an example of how different Black people can be, but also an example of how within that indifference we're unified by pretty much the same things. So never an issue for me. I just like to see it myself personally.
We want everybody to be real as possible in a respectful way. However, we do recognize that everybody has different ways and different style of communicating, but we want people to feel comfortable and be themselves when they come on the platform. We don't want them to feel as if they cannot be free in their speech. And hence the reason why Too Real is just such a wonderful name for the show. because obviously it allows people to realize that this platform is for them. You know, it's for them to voice their opinions, basically, in the way they feel comfortable in voicing their opinions, and us listening.
Who would you like on your show? Who would you like to interview and chew some pertinent topics over with?
Well, next, I mean, I don't know. Out of the ones what we've done, I love when we had Umar. But,
I mean, everyone loves Dr. Umar, man. He's one of the realest. So yeah.
Cool, but we got the reputation of just agreeing with what everything Umar says. But I mean, I come from the same stance, so how can I disagree? We're both Pan-Africanists. We both see everything the same, and we reason. You know, that's my little brother, so it's not going to be different because we have the same stance. I loved Andrew Muhammad, the investigator. Awesome. We kind of clash on certain little bits, right? So just little bits, but we're pretty much the same because I'm a bit more radical in terms of, you know, as people say, my delivery's off. But I don't hold no apologies because I'm very straight. I'm very real, you know. I'm coming from a place of love, know that. But my delivery is not going to be always sugar-coated because we've been sugar-coated for too long. We need to just start being, you know, more radical, voicing our opinions more and holding no apologies for it. For far too long we've been apologising and be like, I can't say this, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in the schools, whether it's just socialising, you know, with your workmates or whatever. We need to cut that out, you know. It's just gone on for too long. I've never been that person, by the way.
For real?
I guess you can tell I've never been that person. I mean, I've been raised with Pan-Africanist parents, you know.
Yeah. You talk. No, I understand.
Yeah,
I know it.
and ones that hold no apologies and who are very real. My mum's more kind of cool and laid back with it, but my dad's very radical like me and holds no apologies. So, yeah.
But who would you like to interview? You talked about who you have interviewed. Who would you like?
I'm trying to think going on.
Go on, Jasmine. I know you've got a couple. Who would you like to get on the show?
I would like to interview some real Black legends and champions in different fields, like
call some
banking.
names. Call some names.
Like people in banking. I don't necessarily know their names,
right?
But I have an idea of who, of the sort of people and in the professions, the people that can support our community, people that can fight our plights. When people phone in or we have shows, people air their views and they say, okay, we want more community centers, right? So basically we're looking to interview people in our community leaders that have the weight to push legislation through, to apply for funding, or to write bids, that's the sort of people I'd like to interview. So I don't necessarily know the names from every field because I haven't researched them as yet. However, I would like to interview on our platform influential people in several different fields. And when I research them and I start emailing them, hopefully they will, one or two, if not all, may respond.
For me, it would be Dr. Claude Anderson, one of my main ones.
Oh, yeah, I'd like, that'd be a big one.
Well, I tried to get him 2 years ago, and the wife said, I wanted to bring him over, and his wife said that he doesn't really fly anymore, but he'd be doing it by Zoom, and that he can do it by, not Zoom, then Skype at the time. So I was like, okay, but then I had all other things going on and never managed to do that. So he's somebody that I'd love us to get in contact with again and pick it up where we left off. Anthony Browder. I've always wanted to interview him or just have a dialogue with him. Love him. Renoko Rashidi.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice they're all men. I'm trying to go. The female route now.
Make no apologies, man. It is who it is. I know I caught you on the hop as well, but what I really want to encourage you guys to do, because off camera we were talking about me just observing your journey and just wanted to reach out at the right time when you got to a place of growth and subscribers and views and you're used to what you're doing and you're comfortable. And are you not going to stay the course as well? That's what I wanted to see myself. But I saw what type of October you had, and I know your agenda for February. So say no more. Keep them guessing. You want people to subscribe and watch and come and take in the content, right? But what I want you to do is I really want you to kind of put it out into the ether. Who do you want on your show? Because, speak it and it will happen.
Dr.
So
Claude Anderson
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anthony Browder for sure. Is it Sasirada Ali? I can't remember her name. The sister that goes hard on women.
I'm not,
I can never pronounce that. Her for sure.
okay.
Because I agree with a lot of the things with what she says. And women.
I want John Barnes and I want Marcus Rashford.
Okay.
All right, there you go. See, now we're getting into the spirit. Speak it. You know what I mean? Because you don't put no limits on anything.
Well,
Listen, I asked.
Most of mine are American as well. No one's English. I like as well Hilary Beckles. I don't know if you know the historian. Yeah. Awesome.
You're gonna start drafting a wish list now. You're gonna stick it up on the wall.
Yes.
I've got one. I've got a diary with the other co-hosts full of all these people. It's just like Black History Month kind of took over, and then International Black Mystery Month took over. Then remember that's not all what we do. Not just the Insta Live platform. It's the videos. It's the people wanting to interview us. It's going on radio. It's loads of different stuff. Then
and we would also like to have some sort of sponsorship as well.
Good. Well, talk it. You might as well.
We would like some new camera equipment. We would like some video equipment, etc., and things for our studio. And we would like, some tips on presenting our show. Things like that we need.
Well, if anybody's watching and wants to get involved with two young ladies with a passion for what they do, these two right here, and there's a third young lady who was meant to be here today, but she was a little bit.
That's our manager.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
Now this sister, she's awesome. I mean, I wish I could have directed your viewers and yourself to an interview what we had on Saturday, myself and her.
You can. What's the title of the interview? Oh, was it not being recorded?
I was just gonna say on Deja Vu Radio at 9:00 Monday morning on the Who Knows show. This little girl, our manager, she blew the interview away. And the studio manager, not the person that was interviewing us, the one that manages it, he said that he don't know why it didn't record. That's the only show that's ever happened to.
Wow.
And she went in. And so because of that and people wanting her back, we're back on there this Saturday morning.
Yes.
Okay, well,
they have to record it because when I say she's 22. This girl is awesome. Just the way she.
She's young. She's vibrant. She's intelligent. She knows what she wants, and she sees what's happening around her in society, and she's basically able to articulate herself in such with such delivery and to support the community. Especially young people coming from a young mind, she's just the bee's knees. And
well, we can look
wonderful to have young people on the team.
No, definitely, and intergenerational conversation is necessary for me to connect the dots and keep things moving in the right direction. I hope that and her name's Amari, right? I hope that she gets to come on. Yeah, I hope she gets to come on the next time we interview you. See what I did there?
We'll be back.
All right, make sure. Listen, I'm going to go out on a positive note. I asked you guys what the worst part of this year was. I want to know what the best part of 2020 has been for Too Real, be it personally or professionally.
The best part for me is the ancestors and the Most High giving me the health and strength to serve and to continue to serve. Because I'm not going to lie to you, Brother Joel, it's not been easy. Sometimes I want to throw in the towel. It's not been easy. But as they say, the race is not for the swift, but for those who can endure it. And if you're real, if you really are real, you will stick it out and you really will believe that you're doing it for the people. As Shanette, the other co-host, says, it's not about us, it's about you, the people. And that always sticks in my head, her saying that. So even when I've had migraines, been really, really ill, and so forth, I still just get up and just be like, oh, I have to do the show, or I have to go into the studio, or I have to do an interview, or, you know? So it's like it has to continue, because I don't just give things lip service. It's a liberty for me. So even when I'm burnt out, and if you look at most of the shows, you would see me burnt out, to say the truth. So, but I would still go and deliver, because that sticks in my head what she says. It's not about us, Kemet. It's never about us. We have to do it for the people.
She says it's not the messenger, it's the message, not the messenger.
But if the messenger's not there, it's going to deliver the message. So we have to be there.
Yeah.
Well, good luck moving forward. Jasmine, you didn't give me your highlight of 2020. Let's not leave without that. What's been the good for you?
I've had many highlights, but one of them with two really is obviously being asked to co-host and being asked to support the co-host team and deliver to our people and get some experience and learn to research. And yeah, likewise, like Kemet, to commit yourself to something that is such a worthy cause. And our people come first. And that gives us the encouragement to want to deliver, you know, so much information out there and to meet our viewers' needs and our people's needs.
Who's going to tell the viewers, listeners, readers where they can find you guys, all the platforms, please?
On Insta, it's at official 2Rel Insta, and it's at official and the number 2Rel Insta, and at official Stop the Silence. And on YouTube, if they put in 2Rel and the / Stop the Silence, then we'll come up our videos and different things. So, yeah.
Good luck with everything, Queens. All right.
We appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.